I was invited here to talk to you mainly about my book, Common Sense Happiness, 5 principles for people who want to stop whining and bitching and suffering. Not that anybody here does that, ever has or ever will, but you may know somebody. I wrote this book. I was inspired to write it because it was one day several years back, and I was just in this elated state. I was in this state of euphoria. It was just one of those days where I felt completely aligned with the universe. You know, the sun was shining and the sky was blue and the wind was breezy and the birds were singing. You know, I could hear the ocean waves, and I was just in this beautiful state, and I was contemplating how amazing life is. And as I'm thinking about this, I'm like, you know, it is so amazing, it's so beautiful. I was just in harmony with everything. And then I realized too that as amazing as life is, it's a maze. It's like a maze, right? We spend our life taking rights and taking lefts and going over and around and under and just navigating our way through this journey. And I thought, how is it, as I reflect back, what have I been doing throughout my life that has brought me to this place where I always feel like I'm in this state of happiness? What have I been doing that's been working to keep me in this overall state? So I came up, as I thought back about it, with these 5 principles, 5 basic principles that are not rocket science. They are common sense, although as we all know that people don't commonly use common sense, but it's there. So anyway, I thought I'm just going to put these principles out there because I know that they've worked for me. They were working for me before I even actually realized what I was doing. And I know that they can work for anybody. So the first principle is called happy, to be or not to be. And that basically means that that's a decision. So our lives are created from the decisions that we make. And I like to define happiness as, it's more than just a feeling. Happy is a feeling, but happiness is not just a feeling. Happiness is a state of being. Feelings are fleeting, but a state has weight. So feelings are, right, they're emotions, they're energy in motion, they're always changing. But a state is a condition. So you can actually cultivate this state, a condition, even though it's sometimes we have feelings that are going to be not so fun. We have crappy feelings. We get stressed. We have anger. We have disappointment. We have frustration. We have all the negative stuff at some point in our lives that we have. But you can still manage to be in this overall happy state even while you're dealing with some of those feelings, if that makes sense. You're not going to stay in the state of gray and then just experience happy once in a while. You can be in the state of happiness, and even though you're going to have these other feelings, we're human, we go through all this stuff, we're going to have other feelings. But you can still stay in a state of happiness. It's a state of being. So I want you to think about this. If you are able to cultivate the state of being, the state of happiness, you're actually then becoming more emotionally fit. And that is what is going to enable you, once you exercise that muscle of being emotionally fit, then you can navigate the waves and the curveballs and not get completely knocked off your game. So here's the thing, it starts with an idea. Everything starts with an idea. Everything in existence, including you and I, began with an idea. So you go, happy, to be or not to be? Well, there's an idea. Is that a good idea? If you decide yes, because now a decision has to be made. What am I going to do with that idea? I'm going to either act on it or I'm not. So So if I'm going to act on it, then of course the next thing you're going to do is take some action steps in order to manifest the idea. So this principle is really about taking responsibility for your state of happiness and acting with clear intention. The second principle is called hold your power. And this is about learning how to take responsibility for your thoughts and your emotions, because lack of control over your thoughts and your emotions are the biggest cause of your suffering. And that's what we're talking about, becoming emotionally fit. Contrary to popular belief, nobody can actually make you feel emotion. We like to, we're programmed to do that. Oh, you made me feel like this. He makes me feel like that. They make me feel like this, but not really. Not really. It's all about the meanings that you're applying to the situation or the person. And then you have a feeling or an emotion that comes up based on that. And that's how 50 different people can all have a completely different emotion regarding the same exact experience, because we're all applying different meanings to it. So nobody can actually make you feel anything. And one of the ways I'll tell you, and you probably all have heard this, but don't take things personally. That's like the hugest, biggest thing, is not take anything personally. Then you're in defense mode all the time, and that is a negative feeling. It's a negative place to be. So the other thing that this principle, the last thing on that one I'll tell you about, is it asks you to examine your boundaries. And a lot of times, especially moms, those boundaries just start to disappear. They just like evaporate because you are just giving, right? When you don't have any boundaries, you are like feeling like the battery charger, and everyone is coming hooking up to you, and they just suck the life out of you, and then there's nothing left. So you have to maybe examine your boundaries and see if you need to get some put into place. But it is also about seeing if you have some boundaries that you put into place way back when, maybe for a really good reason, and now they've turned into walls. Now they're limiting you. So that could be people or experiences or rules that you have, the way that things have to happen for you to be happy. What are your rules? And it could be old beliefs. So you have to examine your boundaries, either putting some in place or maybe getting rid of some or jumping over some. The third principle is, did I miss one? Oh, yes, I did. Number 3, make shift happen. Gotta make some shift happen, ladies. You can't just wait around, right? For other people to do things and for things to come to you. So understanding this principle about shifting, this can really set you free, bless you, from suffering. Even when things are out of our control, because of course there's going to be things that happen that we don't have the luxury or the control of changing, but we can always take the freedom that we have, the luxury that we have of changing our mind about something, changing what it means to us, and shifting our perspective. When you find yourself in a problem situation, it's important to realize that you cannot solve the problem from the same level that it was created. You have to rise above it. And that means you need to shift something. You have got to shift the way you're looking at it. You have to shift the meaning. So shifting your perspective can help you rise above the problem, see it from a broader angle, a different angle, give it some new meaning, and then you are going to probably be more successful at solving the problem or overcoming the obstacle. This principle also talks about looking at what your intentions are. Do you have any consciously? Do you have some intentions? And then what is your attention on? So a lot of times we think, well, yes, I have intentions. I want to be secure, and I want to, do this in my career, and I want to, what are your intentions? But then you look around and go, well, what is all my attention on? What am I focused on? Am I actually giving my attention, which is a resource, to supporting your intentions? So they have to be in alignment. So when you make some shift happen, you are able to then control how your life maze is being created or recreating it. The fourth principle is called change your chain. And this principle is about disengaging from something that is holding you back, or someone that is holding you back from what you want to be or do or have. So it's about examining those ties and looking at what have you tethered yourself to that is keeping you from one of those things. Sometimes we have these commitments or anchors, chains I call them, that really, they're limiting you again. You have to examine them. You've got to take some time to look and go, what is actually going on in my life that's not allowing me to go here when I want to go here, or who? So it's about examining them, deciding which ones need to go, and you might have some good ones that are supporting you. Principle 5 is called romance your life. This principle is about showing up right for yourself. It's about treating your life like you're dating it. Well, I'm just going to assume that at one point everyone might have had some sort of a magical first date. And if you think back, though, to the idea there is that you are preparing yourself and you are putting a lot of resources and focus into how you're going to present yourself for somebody else. So why don't we do that for ourselves? Why aren't we striving every day to impress ourselves? Why aren't we falling in love with ourselves? That's where the magic begins. So romancing your life is about making sure that you're not always on the back burner and everything you're doing is for someone or something or something out there outside of yourself. How many people here have a dog or a cat, a pet? How many have a car? How many have a garden? A house? Do you know how many people treat their garden, their car, their house, their dog better than they treat themselves? It's interesting. We spend lots of time taking care of our pets, and they go and they get their shots and they get groomed, and some of them get their nails painted, and whatever. They get the best food that you got to get in the freezer now, all that good stuff, and they're golden. And then the car's getting, the tires are checked, and you're changing the oil, and the garden's getting fertilized, and the house is getting maintained. But do we put as much love and care and maintenance and focus on ourselves? So that's what romancing your life is about. It's about taking care of yourself too. It's the oxygen mask theory. You gotta take care of yourself. But that's really about, to me, that's the beginning. That's where a state of happiness is born. It's not born out there. It's not waiting for all of the experiences out there to change so that then you can be happy. It starts inside of you. So here's the thing. You can't just stop at reading about the principles. You can't just stop at getting all kinds of knowledge on personal growth and things that will help you, and you can fill yourself up with all of the knowledge, but we all know the saying, knowledge is power, knowledge is power. It is not. It's an incomplete sentence. It's completely nothing unless you do something with it. Knowledge is only power if it's used. So you have to apply the principles. You have to apply the things that you're learning and reading about. Meaningful growth and developing mastery over your life. It is not a part-time job. It is not a lazy person's job. It is something that takes deep introspection and a willingness to do the work on yourself, to look honestly at yourself. It takes focus. It takes the desire to go, I deserve to have what I want to have and be what I want to be and do what I want to do. And it takes a willingness to take that intention and put all of your attention on pumping up your resources, which are your time, your focus, your energy, your finances, and directing them in a way that supports you and not being willing to settle for less. So I will leave you with my final mother of pearl nugget, which is, I believe that happiness is contagious. So I think that we should all strive to catch it, become a petri dish of happiness, and go out and contaminate everybody that you can with it. And that's how everybody starts to rise. Thank you.